Drafting within PataBid Quantify sprinkler estimating software. So we have a built-in drafting module, and there are a number of key quick item pads that come out of the box that you can use. These can all be customized by the end user and the end company. Quick item pads are global to the company so that you can standardize the estimating processes of your company and ensure that all of the estimators are bidding in a collaborative standard methodology. But with the drafting here, we can click on the symbols on the quick item pads, which link into our assemblies and items global databases, which are multi-trade. But we're focusing on the fire protection here. And I have the icon turned on, so I'm going to put in a riser into this room here, and that's going to place the icon on the screen. I can then select the size. So let's say that I want to run this as a 6-inch riser, and I'm going to hit commit. And it's going to automatically enter that into my bid here. I can then set a scale on this drawing. So I'm going to use a known dimension to do this. And that is 18 feet. There we are. And I will hit apply on that. And then I can switch over to my systems here, my various different systems. There's various different material types. And I can start to draft this in. I'm going to collapse the audit trail here and turn on our grid so that I can line things up nicely. And maybe I want to move this around a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to detail out this room here for my bid. And I'm going to start by selecting a pipe run here for a main header. I'm going to leave it as 6-inch here, but I could select any of the other sizes available in the system. The hanger drop here, these are formula-driven assemblies that you can edit, adjust, customize to your company. But out of the box, they have these hanger drop options here, which will automatically calculate in the hangers for this run. I'm going to set this to 3 feet and draft this in, snapping to my grid line here and bring it down in my room. And then I can right click to enter that into my estimate. And seeing in here, this is the audit trail. I can expand out this assembly and see the details that it's bringing in. Same with my riser here. And it's going to have everything in there, labor, materials, all of those kind of pieces that I need to assemble a project here. And then we can add in, say, a branch line here. So I'm going to run, say, 2-inch branch line. I'm only going to need a 2-foot drop here for my hangers, and I can draft this in. And then I can place in T's, any of those sort of things. If I wanted to, I could turn on the icons here to make it a little more clear what we're doing on the drawing here. There we are. And I'm going to bring this in. That was a bit of a big icon there. You can set the scales on these also. I'm just going to keep this simple and select small for that and make sure that the other components have this turned on. There we go. And now I can bring in my T, attach that, and I can select my heads. So if I go over to my sprinklers here, I can select this symbol and I can evenly space this out. I can use the grid to align this. I can scale these also if I wanted to, so that they would show coverage areas. Right now I'm just doing this rather quickly. With that all drafted in there, I can right click and use our multi-select tool to highlight all of these items and then copy them. And I can space this out however I may need to within my room. Again, I'm not really detailing this out fully, but here we go. And then I can right click, and that is now in my room. We can add in various different breakouts. If we needed to identify this training room itself, we can do that. So I can use my breakdowns here. I'm just going to rename this location, but I could have multiple locations in here. We could call this Training Room 107. There we go. And what this allows us to do is break out the estimate later on. I can enter in this part here as the water entry room, for example. So if I do this, I can call this my water entry room. Now, I've already drafted in there, but I can right-click on this line after I've highlighted it. They are linked into your audit trail, and I can reassign this. And I'm going to reassign this to the water entry room. There we are, and we'll see under location here, that is now under the water entry room. And you can reassign multiple if you need to later on to break things out if there's a late stage addenda to the tender or a post-tender addenda for further breakouts. And then when I click on summary, it's going to draw all of this together. And in here, I will have my various different shop drawings for the materials that I'm using. I will have my pricing loaded in here, depending on which supplier you're using. That can be added in here, and my labor. And this is able to be broken out further. So if I right-click and summarize and select location here, when I click summarize, this is now going to show me how much I have dedicated to my water entry room versus my training room. And I can get detailed bills of materials exported from these various different breakdowns. I can run reports on this. And the platform runs through a comprehensive closeout. If I needed to break this out by, say, location here at the end, I can assign in my various different crews in here. If I needed to split this between multiple different crews with different rates, all of that can be handled through packages, subcontracts, equipment, overheads, indirects. These can all be calculated with formulas or fixed values. And then we end up at a comprehensive overall price for this project with our breakdown. And we can generate a comprehensive proposal in a number of different formats with our proposal editor here. If we wanted to select Word, for example, we can plug that in, and this is going to allow us to put together a full comprehensive quote. We can include exporting these drawings here that we have done. As first thing that I do recommend, if you are going to do this, place your logo on the drawing. So I'm just going to grab my logo here, and I'm going to place this up here just so that the owner or whoever I'm submitting this to knows who's put this together. And then I can export this as a PDF. So if I select the drawing that I've been working on here, I can call this Layout 01, for example, and save this. And this is going to put together a brand new PDF for me. It is going to give me a link to this drawing that I've created and exported, and you can export multiple pages into a single file. This is also going to be attached back to my estimate here so that I can come back at any time, re-download it if necessary. If there's revisions, I can generate revisions on this so that we can have a comprehensive idea of how this project came together. And there we go. If I open up Layout 1, here we are. This is the PDF that I've exported. I can attach this into my quote and submit this on to the owner, to my field staff, to my engineer for the detailed sprinkler layouts later on down the line. And that way we can clarify exactly what we've put together on this project. This has been a quick look at the Quantify sprinkler estimating platform and the drafting module that's built in.